I must admit, I can sympathise with that. Asthma affects me. I only tend to get it during the winter months, and it does. People don't quite realise quite how it affects you as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me as well these days, because I'm a little bit more susceptible to hay fever than I used to be. Last year was good, the year before was bad. But because it can hit me very badly, I tend to not gig through the summer now. Like, we've been offered theatre dates in the summer, and I've declined because there's a higher probability that I may not be able to do it.
One thing I did read about you, in 1999, you were voted number 48 in Company Magazine's 100 Millennium Men, tagged as a list of sexiest men of the century.
Yes. Yeah, they never told me at the time.
Did they not? I was waiting for a comment on that one, really.
I found out about 8 years later when it was of no use to me. At the time, it would have been handy in bars. Do you know what I mean?
I'm one of the sexiest men of the century.
You realise you're turning down number 48.
I thought that was good. I did read that, and I thought, well, I must ask. Who would you say is your comedy hero? Does anybody you look up to? You mentioned the Goons, didn't you, earlier?
Yeah, the Goons. I mean, in the early days, I liked Spike Milligan and Monty Python, Tommy Cooper, Wise, Two Ronnies, etc. I wouldn't say they inspired what I do now.
No.
And I genuinely couldn't give you a stand-up. I mean, when I first decided to write stand-up, I went to the library and got some, this is how old I am, went to the library and got out a vinyl album of Woody Allen and had a listen to his observational stand-up. And so that kind of kick-started me into writing. However, I haven't really got anybody, and it sounds really conceited, but there's nobody who inspires me.
No?
There's no sort of, I don't consider myself unique, let's put it that way. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal. What I do consider myself is I just do what I do. And if you see me on a given night, you may have a different opinion of me the next night. You know, I've been tagged as a political comic in the past, as a one-liner man, as silly, as improvisational, as like a guy who just ad-libs or whatever. It depends what you get on the night. I'm incredibly flexible.
Yeah, that's good.
So, as a consequence, there's not really anybody out there that is like me. People tend to follow a set path of what they do. We'll have an observational comic, a surreal comic, a political comic, and I'll do a bit of everything. You know, if it's funny and it fits in with what I do, I'll do it. So it's not, it doesn't really get me. But as far as now, there are two comics that I enjoy watching, and they're both American. Like I said, I don't watch British comedy, and that's a guy called Brian Regan and another guy called Bill Burr, and they're both superb at what they do. Bill Burr is very sweary, very angry, driven. Brian Regan is totally clean, to the point that they let him do a Comedy Central live special. He's the first guy to do it live because they trusted that he wouldn't do anything bad. And he's awesome. I really enjoy watching his stuff, and Bill Burr, the two of them. And I often go online to see if they've done an interview or whatever on a chat show and watch it on YouTube because big fan of both those guys. And I'd pay to go and see them.
That's good. Well, you've probably ruined up the question I'm going to ask later on, but we'll go back to that in a little while. Away from the comedy business, away from the writing and the stand-up, what do you do to relax? Do you do hobby-wise?
When I'm well enough, I jog.
Yeah?
I go out for a jog. Beyond that, I don't know really. I just kind of mooch around,
Yeah.
I'm involved in a lot of businesses as well.
Okay.
So I get nothing to do with showbiz or anything like that. And so I get drawn into doing stuff for that, for those, I should say. But yeah, I kind of just bimble along really. I haven't got a hobby as such.
Okay.
I watch a bit of TV. I like going to the cinema. But I don't really. It's weird.
Just what most of us blokes do.
Say again?
Just what most of us blokes do.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not a football fan or anything like that. So there's none of that I go and do. I love my athletics, but obviously it's such a short season in the summer.
It is.
You ask me this time of year and it's out of my head because it's happening. But I absolutely love my athletics. I did it when I was a kid. But that's about it really. God, I'm boring.
I mean, I think people have got this thing that people who are in show business live this lifestyle where they're chauffeur driven and they have this and this and this. And it's, I know through the people I know that it's anything but that. And, you know, it's to be normal is great, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's
great.
great.
I would genuinely consider myself normal.
Yeah. I mean, about 15 years ago, you decided to semi-retire. And you concentrated on running your comedy venue in London. What precipitated that, and why have you sort of come out of retirement?
Well, at the time, I mean, I was in a relationship at the time, and I just figured, you know what, I'm done. I did a final tour in 2000. My business partner, he was my business partner within that. He then went off to live in Thailand. Some would say he did better out of the deal.
Wow.
But no, he went off to live over there, and I'd kind of thought, you know what, this is it. We did about 80 odd dates that year. We hit as many as we could, and then it was just the club. I just did the club, and then over a year, I did one thing on Channel 4 called Salvage Squad, a series of that, and then at the start of 2002, my then girlfriend left, so I was kind of left going, all right, so part of my reason for jacking it in was so that we'd be together, but obviously it didn't work for her. And then so I just found myself sort of, again, bimbling along, doing the club. And I was kind of happy with that. You know, the gig was 10 minutes away from where I live. And obviously the show started when I got there because I was the MC. Nobody could have a go at me if I was late because it was fine. So I was kind of, sadly, as all my school reports said, Lee only ever does enough to get by. So there was no catalyst, shall we say, to make me go and do anything again. And then what happened was developers started sniffing around, so looked into redeveloping the site, which we finally did, but obviously that meant shutting it down. I kept Dan on, who was the manager of the club at the time, and knowing he would go stir-crazy. It sounds idyllic, you know, on full pay, nothing to do. No, it would drive people up the wall. So I said, look, let's book in a tour. So we booked in about 17, 18 dates, and I went out on the road, and I really enjoyed it. And it was like, yeah, I really like this again. So I just carried on doing that. I did 2 more tours, and then literally, I think it was October, I pressed the button and said, let's do another tour. So this is the least prepared tour you're ever going to see in your life. I pressed the button in October and started writing. I've had a handful of gigs where I've been doing stuff to get it ready. There'll be material that when I go on stage will be the first time it's been aired on the first tour date.
But you still got... Yeah.
As I say, very, very unprepared, but at the same time, I keep kind of giggling about that.
Well, it's called Comedy Show Number 9. I don't dare ask why it's called Comedy Show Number 9, really.
It's really simple. You sort of always struggle for a title. I didn't want to just do Lee Hurst Live or anything like that. Yeah. And the other tours had, the 3 that I did recently had themes. So the theme was encapsulated within the title. This one, I deliberately didn't want a theme. It was just going to be stand-up. And I was umming and ahhing, and I just counted back the number of tours I've done, and sort of small tours and such like, and it worked out I'd done about 8, so I figured this is number 9. That was it.
Do you know, I thought it was going to be something as simple as that, but it doesn't always follow, does it?
Yeah.
I mean, you still got this club, you got this, well, it's back open again now, isn't it? The new backyard club. And,
the old venue was great.
This is even better. So, you know, that's something. It's in Bethnal Green, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
I know where it is actually. I was due to come up there and see you back in September, and sadly I had the flu, so I didn't make it. But two more questions before I let you go. Yeah. Unfulfilled ambitions. Do you have any unfulfilled ambitions, both in a career and in life? And that's just the one question.
Yeah. Let me think. Not really. I mean, I've done what I set out to do with regards to stand-up. You know, I went and toured and that, and I do recall again with my old business partner back in the day. We drove up to Birmingham once to do a PA for some company thing, and it wasn't stand-up. And we were driving back, and I said, you know what would be ideal for me, because I don't really like doing those sort of things. I said, what would be ideal for me? I said, would be able to spend 9 months of the year on the circuit, preparing a show that you took out for 3 months around the country. I said that would be ideal because I'm a stand-up. It's what I ended up becoming, and it's really all I am. and I'm in a position now where, my profile isn't anywhere near what it was back in the day. I actually consider myself to be a better comedian now than I was then, by a long, long way. I'm way better than I was then. But I enjoy going out and doing the gigs. I mean, thoroughly enjoy them now, which is it's good. I don't need to do it for a living, which is a plus. Like a lot of my mates, obviously they're still out there. They're jobbing comics. It's how they earn a living, and I've been very, very fortunate that I don't need to do that. So I've got the freedom to do it as and when I want to.
So it's a paid-for hobby now, then?
Say again?
Paid-for hobby now?
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
Effectively, yeah. But I just really, really do enjoy it. And unfulfilled ambitions. I mean, I'm moving into a different direction now, as I say, with these other businesses. And, you've got kind of eyes on where me and my new business partner in that venture want to go. So that's unfulfilled, shall we say, because we're on that journey now. But beyond that, no, I mean, I'm good.
It's good.
I'm good.
Well, you mentioned that you're sort of not got a high profile and you're a better comic now. People can come and see you on this tour locally. They can come to the Stables, and it's Friday the 5th of February. The show's called Comedy Show Number 9. And one last question. You've got this comedy club. You see a lot of up-and-coming stars. Can you give us a couple of names of people to look out for in 2016?
Yeah, there's a lad called Jason Patterson, who I like a lot. He played with us on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
He's very good. There's the other one, Diane Spence. She's very good.
Okay.
To look out for. She's probably a little bit further down the road than Jason at the moment, but Jason, like I say, he's incredibly good. And I'm going to, Jason is probably going to come and do a couple of dates with us on the tour. There's a few guys I'm going to take out. I never take, because this time around I'm taking the support, because I just want to hit the ground and just do my thing. I don't want to have to worry about an interval and such. So there'll be a support. This is more like the old tours. I'll have a support act interval than me.
Yeah.
And like the old days, I don't use one support for the whole show. I use different guys, girls on different dates. It keeps it fresh that way. And also it spreads it around so they all get, more people get the opportunity to play in these environments. It gives them, let them brush up their skill sets there. But, and then there's, at the other end, there's a mate of mine, Sean Mio, who's starting to motor again. And he's from my era, when I started. And he's Britain's best kept secret, really. I mean, back in the mid-90s when I broke, he was probably pound for pound the best comic writer, performer in the country. He's just never been given a shout. And the powers that be, and it's not necessarily the TV companies, but it's the agents and that, have definitely suppressed him from getting anywhere.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
It's tragic, yeah.
Anyhow, thank you very much for your time today. Let's quickly go through the show. The tour is called Comedy Show Number 9. Yep. It's Friday the 5th of February, and you're at the Stables in Milton Keynes. Have you been there before?
I love that venue.
It's a beautiful venue. I was there a few weeks ago, and people will be able to see the whites of your eyes, so they'll be able to see that fear if it happens.
Yeah, that gig, I mean, the first year with the 3 tours I did, we just went and did a show there and it banged it out. And I've never played Milton Keynes before on tour. And then the second year we went back and they lost their Saturday show at short notice, so we went in. We sold about half for the second night, sold out our own show. And then last year the last 2 we went back and we sold out 2 nights. And I'm kind of hoping and confident that we'll be able to do that again on this one as well.
Well, from what I understand from the theatre, I was there a couple of weeks, or a week ago, just over a week ago. The tickets are selling very quickly. So if people want to see you, they need to get their backside into gear and to come along and see you.
That's right.
Anyway,
fast on that one.
They do need to act fast. Anyway, thank you very much for your time today, Lee. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome. Cheers, mate.
This is Seclo Sounds, and you can listen to us by clicking Listen Live on our homepage at seclosounds.org for a choice of players. Via TuneIn Radio at www.tunein.com, search for Seclo Sounds and listen online or download the TuneIn app. You can download the Seclo Sounds iPhone app from the iTunes App Store, and you can listen to us on demand at our replay page.